My name's Cookie, I'm a cartoonist. I use pencils, pens, paints, all sorts of things, even drawing tablets, but I want to show you how I use my airbrush to make freehand t-shirts and hoodies. This is my old easel. I've put my name in it in case I lose it and it gets handed in. Down here is my compressor that pumps compressed air up these hoses all the way to the airbrushes which it's connected to. And down here are my pots of colour which fit onto the airbrush. It's called suction feed because it sucks the ink up as the air rushes through the airbrush. This is my toolkit. That's my pen for taking all your crazy requests. My little tube of oil keeps all the moving parts of the airbrush lubricated. My little spanner is for loosening the nozzle so I can clean it in case it gets blocked by ink. And speaking of blocked ink, this is my straightened out paper clip because these colour bottles do get clogged up with dried ink, and just a standard paper clip is the perfect tool for that job. I use just 7 colours which I can mix through the airbrush onto the t-shirt or hoodie, and I also have a black, a white and a water for flushing through the airbrush, keeping it clean. In case you've never seen an airbrush before, you're not sure how it works, I'll just show this to you now. This is the trigger that I'm pressing now. You press down to release the air and you pull it back to release the paint. How that works is there's a needle, a long needle that runs the whole length of this airbrush right through to the nozzle. Now if I use my little spanner to remove that nozzle cap, then beneath here you'll see the tip of that long needle. So it's got a very sharp end to it, and as I pull the trigger back you can see the needle retract, and that is what allows the paint to flow through the end of the little tiny hole in that nozzle, which is normally blocked by that needle pushing through. The ink has to be about the consistency of milk to allow it to flow freely through the end of that nozzle. So the paint gets sucked up as the air rushes through, and as that needle gets pulled back like this, then it can escape through the tiny hole in the end of that nozzle. So the more I pull the needle back, the more paint comes out. The more I leave it forward, just the air comes out. So I'll just put my little bits and pieces back together, and we're going to start airbrushing a t-shirt, but at least you know now how it all happens. So I've got my black colour bottle on my airbrush. That's how it attacks, just pushes in, and that paint will get sucked up as the air pushes through the main body of the airbrush. So press down for air and back for paint. So now you can see how when the paint magically appears on the t-shirt, how it's actually coming out of the airbrush. So I'm going to start off. I've stretched this t-shirt over a board, so I've got a nice hard flat surface to work on, and I'm drawing a familiar character. For me, this is my shark character. So you can see I'm pulling that airbrush trigger back a little bit to get more shading, to let more paint out. So I pull the airbrush away from the garment, and now I'm just pulling it back a tiny bit because I want to get some detail and finer lines on the teeth of the shark. This is the eye I'm working on now. So again, you can see I'm pushing that trigger forward slightly, letting a little bit of paint out with the air. And these are for my fine lines when I'm doing shading. I'll pull that trigger back, but these are nice fine lines for now. Those are the gills. A funny bottom lip I put on the shark, the fin. And all these t-shirts I make are freehand. I don't use any stencils. I just use all freehand. Whatever anybody wants on a t-shirt, I will draw it freehand. So every single one of my t-shirt or hoodie designs is completely unique, individual, one-off piece of artwork. Even I couldn't copy it again. So every single one is different. You can probably hear my compressor kicking in there. It's got like a little chamber where a pump fills it full of air, and then when it's got enough air in it, it stops. And as I'm using the airbrush, you'll hear it kick in, and then you'll hear it stop. You'll hear the little motor fill the tank with air again, and then when the air runs down, the little pump kicks in again. That's how it works. So that's the noise you can hear in the background. I've put a little fish on there again. Not using much ink for the little fine details. So I'm just, any bits of shading, I'm just adding here and there. And I think that's all my black done. So now I've got a nice aqua colour that I'm going to use for the shark. So I've plugged that in, just a little test spray, make sure it's coming out okay, and I'll slowly start to colour my cartoon. This is all real time, I'm not speeding anything up. This is actually so you can see the sort of speed I work. So fins, body, I'm leaving bits of paint out. As you can see, it looks like it's quite shiny. I'm leaving the highlights. I don't like to use a lot of white paint because it's quite thick and it can block up the airbrush quite a lot. So what I do, I let the colour of the shirt show through the character. And it's a nice way of doing shading and showing the highlights. So it's as much as what you leave off as what you put on. It's just as important. And you can see that fin. Look at the highlight. Move on to the red. So I'll flush through that, get rid of that last colour, a little bit of water, I'll flush it through, and now onto the red for the mouth. It makes it look really distinctive, stands out, and a little bit scary, possibly. So there's the red for the mouth going in. I'm making that fish look slightly worried with a little bit of, it's blushing slightly, a bit of panic. So those are all the details, outlines, and main colour of the characters. Still using a little bit of turquoise that I've used for the shark, just for the background, but as I said before, I can actually mix the colours on the t-shirt, and I'll show you how I'm going to do that now, how you can make it vary slightly. So I'm using a deeper blue this time. So once the deeper blue is on, I just spray it lightly over the aqua, and you get a slightly different colour. It's like mixing watercolours. You're putting two colours together to get different shades, and it gives a little bit of variation and saves you carrying lots and lots of colour pots. You can keep some basic colours and mix them together as you're airbrushing on the fabric. So that stands out. Now those two are much the same in the colours. So again, I'm going to mix some colours on the fabric. But because I'm going to yellow from a darker blue colour, I'm just going to spray some water through the airbrush. I'm taking the back cover off the airbrush and loosening that needle so that I can flush lots of water through by pulling that easel back, like a big cloud of vaporised water coming out of there, but it's taking any ink with it. So I've flushed everything out of there, because if all the blue's not out, that yellow will come out green, which is handy sometimes, but in this case it doesn't really matter, because I'm making that fish green by mixing the colours yellow and aqua to make a nice green, just to make that character stand out from the shark. Now this is white. I don't use this a lot of the time. This is a grey t-shirt I'm working on, so this white's just going to make the little bits pop out, like the teeth stand out from the grey, and it's going to clean up any bits of overspray that I've got. I've got little bits of red on the teeth, so I'm a pretty good shot with the airbrush, but you can't help it sometimes to get a little bit of overspray. So I'm just using a little bit of white. As I say, it does block up the airbrush, so don't use lots of it, but it's handy for highlights. It's a nice effect, it really makes the highlights stand out, and that on the eye, the teeth, all those little bits stand out. And these are all water resistant inks, so you can wash these, they won't wash out when it comes to sticking them in the washing machine. I'm just making that black a little bit crisper here and there. These are all little bits and pieces just to finish off the cartoon. So I'm still adding little bits of shading by the gills and everywhere. I always sign my t-shirts and hoodies so you know who's done it. It's always an important thing. A couple more bubbles here and there, a few little marks to see there's a little bit of movement going on. It's not just stationary. That just indicates a little bit of movement in that shark. Okay, so that's the front done. And now on the back, normally I put people's names on the back, but because this is just a shark, I'm just going to show you how I do lettering. This could be anybody's name on the back. It's completely up to whoever's having that t-shirt made, and they can have the picture on the front of the t-shirt, the back, or the other way around, whichever. So this is just to show you how I do lettering. I've done that in one go. Again, real time. I've had lots of practice. So if you're working with an airbrush, just take your time. So it's just like a block, bubble type lettering. Nice and bold, and it's ready for some colour once I've done that outline. There, shark. Now this is a drop shadow, what we call a drop shadow. That little bit makes it stand out like a 3D effect, like it's standing off the t-shirt. You can see my finger on the trigger all the time, pulling back, letting it go forward, just altering the flow of that ink, and it creates such nice effects. The airbrush is such a great piece of equipment for creating such nice blending of colours and shades. So I'm going back into the turquoise. And airbrush t-shirts, you can't really replicate this in a print. The only way you can get these effects is by actually airbrushing directly onto the garment. And they're just as wash resistant as a print, but they're not mass produced. This t-shirt that I'm making now is the only one of its kind. Full stop. I couldn't make it exactly the same. So it's a nice feeling knowing you've got something original. And I think that's the nice thing about airbrush t-shirts. Everyone is different, especially without any stencils. All freehand. Everything's that little bit different and unique. So we've got our t-shirt all made. And there's the front in case you've forgotten how it looks. It's already dry. I iron over these just to fix the ink. This only takes a minute, but I make sure it's all fixed and the colours don't run, they won't wash away when you come to wash them again. I'm cleaning out the airbrush, make sure there's no ink left in there. I always clean my airbrush between t-shirts, and then I just blow some dry air through it just to dry it off really. And I can even play a tune on the airbrush if you like. So you probably won't recognise the tune, and it doesn't serve any purpose, this, just me messing around, and it can sound like the dentist, so sorry about that. It's brought back horrible memories from the dentist chair. There's my only other airbrush trick, but that's it, that's all I've got. The rest of the time I'm just airbrushing. I make a lot of airbrush effects in my van. You can see the little white bits of highlight there with my white paint. Great effects. Metal peeling back, all sorts of lumps and bumps. I just like strange shapes. And I'm going to leave you now to see some of the hoodies and t-shirts that I've made. We've got all sorts of requests. These are all people that have wandered up to me and say, hey, I'd like a rabbit, I'd like a dragon, I'd like a rugby player. Okay, that's a pretty mean rugby player going for it there. This guy Leon is into his kneeboarding, he's doing a great jump there. Hugo is into his dinosaurs. I've got him actually riding a dinosaur. A little simple drawing of Hugo there riding a T-Rex. We've got unicorns and rainbows, very apt at the moment with the rainbows. And a couple more water skiers, kneeboarders, etc. If you'd like to contact me, if you've got any ideas for a t-shirt yourself, then cookiecartoonery@gmail.com, drop us an email, and I look forward to seeing what ideas you come up with. Hope you enjoyed the video. See you soon.